Hey, nice to see you here. In this video I will give you a little overview of the TANGE LUT pack. TANGE stands for teal and orange, and this is a famous look that is used a lot in video but also in photos sometimes, and that is what this LUT pack is all about. And just a little bit about myself, if you don't know me yet, my name is Pascal and I do travel videos for around 3 years. And I'm also a big fan of the teal and orange look. So I used that a lot over those years and I got some pretty good results with it, but I also experienced some problems. For example, a lot of teal and orange LUTs that are out there totally oversaturate your images. It just doesn't look natural or nice anymore. I don't like that. And sometimes also your green tones are not on point anymore, so that your green tones are sometimes completely gone and you can't see them really anymore. And that doesn't look that nice, and that's why I created the TANGE LUT pack. So the TANGE LUT pack solves those problems. It gives you some nice orange and teal looks, and it also makes sure that they are not too oversaturated. But also I created some LUTs that are especially for the green tones. So if you have a lot of green tones in your shot, that they got rescued, and you can actually control completely by yourself how the green tones should look. So you have a lot of flexibility with that, and yeah, let's see how it works. Okay, this is the folder of the TANGE LUT pack. There are 4 subfolders in there, and the TANGE blue, green and red folders that are the most important ones. And blue, green and red, those are the color channels, because it is possible to introduce teal and orange over multiple color channels into your picture. And that's what I did here. The reason why I do that is that depending on your pictures, depending on your clips, it can work better via the red, green or blue channel, but you will see that later in Final Cut Pro 10. Then what you will find in the subfolders is the folder GT, GTSH and SH. So GT means green tones, that is to rescue your green tones. You will find GTC, GTH, GTW, and that means GTC is GT cold, so if you want to have a bit colder green tones. GTH is hot green tones, so they get a bit more reddish or extremely warm, and GTW is warm, so a bit warmer green tones. For example, if you're in tropical countries, that looks quite good. And then you have GTSH, so that basically means green tones, shadows. And yeah, let's do shadows first, because then it makes more sense. So here, shadows basically means that it introduces some more blue into your shadows, some more teal into your shadows. And SH normal only introduces it into your shadows, and SH low and SH high introduce blue into the shadows and also a bit more orange into your highlights to give it even more contrast. So SH high does a lot of that, SH low does it a bit less, so that you can adjust it a bit better, and SH only puts it into the shadows. You will find the same in GTSH. There you have only the shadows where blue is put inside, and you also have again those GTC, GTH and GTW, so that you have maximum flexibility here. You can either only focus on the green tones. If you want to have a bit more blue in the shadows and you want to rescue green tones, you can do that using that LUTs here. And in SH you can only focus on your shadows to have a bit more blue inside. And of course you find the base LUT here, TANGE red. That's what you probably would use in a lot of cases, and it's exactly the same for TANGE green, GT, GTSH, SH, TANGE green, and exactly the same for TANGE blue. Then you will also find some extras. So here for the guys that are too lazy to color grade their footage by themselves, here's S-curve and SH high. So S-curve, what it does is it gives a bit more contrast to your image so that it looks a bit nicer. It basically creates an S-curve. If you're into color grading, then you know what it is. Otherwise, you can just apply the LUT over the base LUT and it's a bit more contrasty. And SH high is again the shadows, and what it does is it only brings more blue into your shadows and a bit more orange into your highlights, but it doesn't do anything else. So there's no orange and teal look applied using that. So you can also use that if you want to do a bit more with your color grading. Then you find TANGE 100. These are basically the base LUT, blue, green and red. And special about here is that they are a lot stronger than the normal LUTs, so you can do that when other LUTs just don't do enough to your footage. Then of course you usually have to use the mix slider to use them, otherwise it could look a bit too harsh. Then TANGE combined. If I extend it, combined blue-green, combined red-blue, combined red-green, and combined all. And that basically means that there are certain looks combined with each other so that you get orange and teal look over multiple channels with that. And you usually don't need them that much, but in some cases it is quite hard to get a good look with the normal LUTs, and then they can also help a lot. So they are more included to make it a bit easier for you on certain images. But let's get into Final Cut now, and I will show you a bit more. Those LUTs don't just work in Final Cut, you can use them also in Adobe Premiere, in DaVinci Resolve, on LumaFusion on the iPad, or you can also use it for your photos in Photoshop or Affinity Photo and so on. So those LUTs really work for everything. First shot I want to grade here now is this shot. It's shot on the GoPro Hero 7. How I bring up my camera with a nice sunset in the background, and I already did my basic color correction here because I always shoot in flat picture profiles. But of course, like mentioned before, you can also do that by using normal colors in your camera to make it a bit easier. Make it a bit bigger. And so what I want to do now is I know already that for that picture here, the TANGE green looks the best. So you have to look, after some time you get a feeling for that, you have to look what kind of TANGE look works best for your image. So in that example here, we use TANGE green. You see what it does. It does actually a bit too much because the sun doesn't look nice anymore, and that's why I will bring the mix down a little bit to 0.7, and it looks a bit nicer, a bit more natural. But it's of course not perfect yet, and that's why I want to adjust it a little bit. At first I will also show you how it would look with TANGE red. You could see that the colors are slightly different, but not too much, simply because it's sunset and that already limits the colors that are in my shot. So let's go back by pressing Command Z to TANGE green. So I like that look the most, but it can be even better. And in that case, what I want to do, I don't have any important green tones here, so obviously I don't need to do anything with GT, but here's SH. For example, I could simply introduce a little bit more blue in the shadows. That looks nice. But what I could also do is to put a bit more blue in the shadows, but also make it even more, and also put a bit more yellow or orange in the highlights. So I use green SH high. And now you can see this is really the look that I want to have here, like the buildings and behind me, like all the shadows are a bit more bluish, while I have this nice orange contrast here. So let's look at before and after. That was the image out of the GoPro. And here you see the final result. Looks great, right? I really love it. And now let's go to another shot that I also really like. And this is better to show you the green tones. Okay, now it's displaying. It's a bit lagging. So also apply the custom LUT. And then you load again. Let's just go through the LUTs here. We have TANGE red. It definitely does a bit too much, but I know already that a lot of you would like TANGE red. I will show you later why. Then TANGE green. Also not bad, but it also destroys the green tones again a lot. And TANGE blue. It's also not bad. It flattens out the background a lot so that the person stands a lot more out. So in that case, actually, let's just first the worst case here. This is TANGE green. TANGE green doesn't work that good. I mean, I could lower the mix a little bit. That would already look a bit nicer, but it's still not perfect. I definitely want to rescue the green tones here. That's why I will go to GT and apply GTC for colder green tones. You can see that now. And I could also try GTW. Makes it a bit warmer, but not perfect. It's a bit unrealistic, I would say, in that case. GTH makes it even more. Maybe some people like that look, but I think it's too much grading here. Of course, when I see that right now, it could also make sense to put a bit more. I already did it with the shadows, sorry. I wanted to show that here. That really does too much, you can see that. So in that case, applying a look with some blue in the shadows also removes a bit of the red look, and that makes it look nicer. So that's actually not too bad here. but it looks too unrealistic. So let's go for red, because I think red is the look that most people would choose here. And let's also rescue the green tones with GTC. I would say that already looks pretty nice. We have a very intense green tone here and a nice red as a contrast, and then the slightly desaturated blue in the sky. I really like that look already. Of course, you could also adjust it a little bit if the green tones are a bit too crazy for you. Then you can also adjust the mix. But what I want to do here is I will go for GTW to make the green tones a little bit warmer, because also a lot of people might like that, and here it would actually make even more sense to adjust the channel mixer, or the mix here a little bit. It's not a channel mixer, sorry. So before and after. It's only a slight transition, but it already looks a lot nicer. And then, of course, the next thing that I could do here is GTSH, bring a bit more blue in the shadows. And that's already pretty nice. It looks a lot colder, might be too cold because it's tropical, but it is a strong contrast between orange and those bluish green tones and the blue in the background. So that's already a pretty nice look. So what I also want to try is GTWSH. So here we also have a bit more blue in the shadows. That is not so obvious, but it works nice. And you have pretty natural looking green tones here and a nice separation with the red. So I would probably go for that look. But let's also try Tange Blue. I don't use Tange Blue that much. My favorite is really Tange Green in most cases, but not for that one. But Tange Blue actually works quite good for that as well. Here you can see that the green tones are totally desaturated. That's what I meant in the first part of the video, that the green tones in a lot of orange and teal cases get a bit lost. But it's not too bad here, because then the red stands totally out. So it's actually usable if you want to go for that look. It's just a matter of what you like. So let's rescue the green tones with GTC. It's still pretty desaturated, but it's definitely more green. And yeah, let's mix one. Then GTH. It's not too bad, but unrealistic. And let's go for GTW. I would say that the green tones look pretty natural, but desaturated, what automatically makes that the red here stands a bit more out. So this is good for leading the attention of the viewer. I actually like that one. And then also let's try again GTWSH. Ooh, there's again a strong separation between the background and the red. But it's a bit too much in that case, because blue is, because of the blue channel, it gets really desaturated. So let's try that one, GTH. Oh no, sorry, I didn't want to use that one, I want to use that. That looks actually pretty nice. So a bit more natural, but cold green tones. Sky looks nice and a nice separation here. So if you want to get a bit more for a less contrasty look, then that might probably be the best one. Let's also try the GTCSH. It's also not bad, but a bit too flat. So Command Z to get back. Yeah, I think that actually looks quite nice. But as mentioned before, I think that most people would go for the red, Tange Red, together with GTW and shadows. Of course, after a while of using that LUT pack, you will get better at it, and then you intuitively know what LUT to use in what case. So that was a quick overview of the TANGE LUT pack, and another point that I want to mention here is that it's a final grade LUT pack. So it's not designed to grade a specific camera, it's made for all cameras, but of course you have to do your base grade before. And if you're a bit lazy about color grading, then of course you can shoot in your normal picture profile in your camera, just leave the contrast like it is, so that you have a good contrast and a good saturation before, and then you can apply the LUTs directly. But of course, if you're a bit more ambitious about your image quality, then you can also shoot in log or like another profile and flatten it out and do your color correction by yourself before applying the LUT. Just want to point that out here so that there are no misunderstandings. And yeah, apart from that, if you have any other questions, then feel free to leave me a message via the contact form on that website here. If you're not on the website, if you're on YouTube right now watching that video, then you will find the link to the website in the description below. So see ya.